What's going on, guys? It's your boy, the Mr. Fox, back in the house. And today, we're doing a review of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. This is one of the shows that I've been looking forward to. I've been meaning to come out with like a top 5, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, this show dropped today and was a pleasant surprise because I was sitting there thinking today, like, man, my hero's over, Grand Blue Dreaming is over, and Honey Bottle's over. And I'm thinking, like, man, what am I gonna watch? And then I saw this show today. I've been meaning to check it out and look it up because it looked interesting from the poster and the trailers. So I watched it, and honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, I don't know if I'm going to review it any further past this, but I mean, we'll see. So I mean, to kick it off, it's nothing crazy. It's another isekai anime. We've seen them, you know, somebody dies, or main character dies and gets reincarnated into a fantasy world, you know, with crazy powers. I mean, this one's kind of no different except for like the slime aspect. But our main character is Mikami. You know, he's a 37-year-old virgin. He works at a contracting firm. He's worked his way up. He's making decent money, you know, but he's never had a girlfriend. And for some reason, his junior invites him out pretty much to show off his girlfriend. His junior's name is Tamura, and his girlfriend's name is Sawatari. I think I'm probably butchering that name, but I'm so sorry. But yeah, he invites him out, and you know, they meet up, and they're like, hey, you know, we got your favorite spot and we got your favorite food. And they start walking, and then for some odd, crazy reason, some guy with a big old, you might as well call it a machete. It sucker's huge. It's just barreling down the street like this. And I'm like, what? There's no context given in it at all. I mean, just your boys I guess he decided, I'm just going to stab the first person that gets in front of my knife or tries to stop me or something. And these dudes coming at Tamura. Well, no, he's coming at Sawatari. Tamura steps in, and then Mikami, you know, pushes him out the way and takes the blow, and he gets stabbed like in his like lower back. Not his lower back, but like in his side, in a vital area. He bled a lot. Like a lot. Like it was crazy. Like you could probably have taken like a small little bath in his blood, and that was probably too graphic, and I'm not apologetic about it. But yeah, So the dude gets away. Like, he stabs Mikami, and then he's just running. And no one, I guess, decided, hey, we should probably stop this guy. He's gone. He just, boom, out. But, you know, everyone's focusing on Mikami because, you know, he's been stabbed. Like, dude, like, the amount of blood that's coming out of this man is, like, great. It reminds me of the time I got hit in the head as a child, and I just bled, like, all over the place. You know, and everyone's freaking out. Tamura's like, you know, hang on. He's calling the ambulance and all that. And this is kind of where I was like, I like this show. As Mikami says, he's like, hey, he's like, make sure you take my computer and you take the hard drive out of it and throw it in a tub full of water and wipe the history. We can imagine what is probably on that hard drive, because he looks like I don't want to say a NEET, because I don't think NEETs go out, but you know, he's probably like a real heavy like otaku like anime fan, and probably has some doujinshis and some other stuff in there that he don't want nobody seeing. But that's funny because he's like, that's like one of the first things he says. He's like, wipe my hard drive and don't look at it. And then he tells Tamura, you know, like, make sure that you know you treat your girl. Make sure you treat your girl right, and you know, you make her happy. And then he dies. But this is where an interesting aspect comes up to me. So like the whole time he's dying, like, you know, he's thinking like inside his head, you know, like, oh my goodness, this hurts. He said the first thing he says after he gets stabbed is like, it feels hot. And like you know, and this is where like I guess like it reminds me of an MMORPG, like when you're at the start and you're picking your class and all that, and it's telling you like the skills that you get, but instead of like him like seeing like set skills, he's like saying these things, and like I guess it's a voice, and it's like, okay, he says he's hot, so we'll make it to where he doesn't feel heat. And then he turns over while he's still bleeding, and then he says he's starting to go cold. And then it says, okay, he doesn't. Okay, we'll give him cold resistance, and then it combines the two, and it calls it thermal reflection resistance. So I guess pretty much saying like he won't feel hot or he won't feel cold. And and he's talking to and as he's thinking, he just like more of these skills he's acquiring, like I said, the heat and hot and cold resistance. And then he tells after he tells Tamara to wipe his hard drive and all that, the voice is like confused by it. It's like, I don't know what that means. So but somehow it got electricity out of the word computer. So it gives him electricity resistance. So, and it's like skill required. And then he says, Mikami says something about, if someone dies, we all know that saying, if you die at the age of 40 of being a virgin, then you become like a great sage. And he says that. And some odd reason, the computer, the voice, whoever this is, gives him the skill of great sage. It says unique skill. And then and like the last thought he's thinking, like before he dies, is like, I can't believe I died. I'm gonna die a virgin. He's like, in my next life, I'm going to be more aggressive and pretty much sleep with every girl that I come across. And the voice takes this and turns it into a skill called Predator. But we'll go more into that skill later, because that comes up like pretty much like almost immediately afterwards. Yeah, so Mikami dies. He dies in Tamara's arms, which is, I'm pretty sure, very traumatic. I can't imagine that. And I hope I never have to go through that, or I hope anyone never has to go through something like that traumatic in your time of being on this planet. But after he dies, he's he's thinking to himself, and it shows he can't see anything. It's black, and and this is where it gets cool to me. It's like it shows him like pretty much transforming into the slime, and he's like, I can't feel my feet, I can't feel my arms, I can't feel my body. I can't see, I can't speak, or any of that. And then, eventually, I guess it's weird because he can't see, but I guess he can sense everything that is like around him. Kind of like not echolocation, but something along those lines. I can't think of what it's called. Here's a word for it, but we'll skip past that. But so he finally gains like motor control. So he's like, okay, I'm elastic, and he's slowly getting into learning how to move and all that. He can, like I said, he can talk, but he can't talk out loud. Everything you hear is just like him pretty much talking to himself. And he runs across this, he runs over this plant, and he's like, and then it dissolves, and that's when he figures out, okay, I must not be human anymore. Actually, he's pretty astute, to be honest, because he kind of hits the nail on the head. He's like, I must be a slime, but he doesn't have any like real concrete confirmation. We do as the viewer, but he doesn't. So, and like I said, he runs over this plant and it dissolves, and he's like, I can feel it permeating throughout my whole body. I'm gonna have to look up what the word permeate means, because I got a kind of a sense in the context of the Jews, but I'm not entirely 100% sure on it. But after, I guess, like it doesn't say like a few days later or a few hours later. I'm going on the notion that like a few hours later. I mean, he has full control. He's zipping, running around as a slime does, whatever, and he's eating the plants. But he does say, he's like, I don't have to eat, I don't have to sleep, I don't even have to take a rest. And he's like, why do I? He's like, why am I eating a plant? These plants, you may ask. Because I have nothing better to do. So from what we've seen, he's a busybody. He likes to stay busy. He likes to move. He doesn't like to sit still very long, which I can understand. Because some days I'm like that. I'm like, I don't want to sit still. I need to do something. Whatever it is, I need to do something. So he's going around the cave just eating plants. And then he stops and thinks to himself. He's like, He's like, do I? He's like, where is all this stuff going? And then that's when the voice comes back in. And that's when we get more info on the skill called Predator. So the skill called Predator allows him to absorb items into his body, and if the item has a skill, he can utilize it. So like all the plants he was eating, it's called like a magicule herb. I think it's like magic in molecule. I can't pronounce it for like the life of me. But magicule herb, and it's used to make solvents and healing potions. And it looks like he has like an unlimited amount of storage, because I mean the cave is chock full of this stuff, like from head to toe, and he's just going on a buffet, just eating it. And he's also able to turn them into potions and store them inside his body. And he states, these might come in handy later and all that. Oh, and also one other skill that he has that I forgot to mention is he also has pain nullification. So he doesn't feel pain. He still takes damage, but he just, he doesn't feel it. And also, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but also he has another skill that's unique to his species. It's called regeneration, which I kind of figured it's a slime or whatever. But I mean, that's kind of like in most MMORPGs, you recover a little bit of your health when you take a little bit of damage. But yeah, he just starts ripping and running, eating all these plants and making potions, and then he comes across this crystal, and he pretty much says like, "Can I eat this too?" And the voice is like, "Yeah." He's like, "What is it?" And it's called Magistone. That's more simple to say than Magicule or whatever. But he eats that, and then because the voice also tells him that stone gets produced after, I guess, a mineral. Yeah, after some minerals stay in the presence of the met. Okay, I'm sorry guys, I'm jumping all over the place, but you have magicule herbs, and then you have magic. I'm calling them magic molecules. Like pretty much just like the magic in the air. Think of like the ether in Fairy Tail, or the reishi in Bleach. Whatever. It's all around. It's just like the air. And when a mineral sits long enough in the magic molecules, I guess in certain areas, it turns into this crystal, which is Magistone, and apparently it's very valuable. So he eats those too. And then while he's doing all that, he falls into a lake. And we find out that slimes don't float. I mean, it's not really big of a deal. He doesn't freak out. Like, he's very calm throughout this whole entire episode, except like towards the end. But we'll talk about that too. But he sinks to the bottom. He's like, huh. So how am I going to get out? So he decides to, suck in a whole bunch of water and shoot it out. And and this is where he acquires like a few skills in this episode. It's literally like watching a character someone play an MMORPG, and they're finding their way through the world, and they're just acquiring minor skills. Nothing groundbreaking, but skills you might need to survive or gather items and stuff. So he unlocks the skill water propulsion, and he just zips up out the lake. And then he hits, as he's zipping, he's like, "Oh, okay, I'm going too fast," and he hits like a wall or some sorts. And then this is when we get introduced to another character, and this is the final character we get introduced to we get an actual introduction to for this series. So he's like, "Huh, that hurts," and that's when he finds out he has a skill called regeneration, but he still takes damage. That's when he finds out he has pain nullification and he has magic regeneration. That's when he finds out that you can't feel pain, but you still take damage. So watch yourself. And he makes a mental note of this. Like I said, he's very calm throughout this whole entire experience. If it was me, your boy would have been flipping out for probably like a week straight. Cause I'm like, this is craziness. But after that, another voice calls out to him, and he's like, "Hey, can you hear me?" And the voice says it like a couple of times, and then it's like, "I know you can hear me." And he's like, "I can't even speak, you baldy." And then that's when the voice is like, "Huh?" He's like, "You got some nerve." He's like, and the voice states like, "I've been here 300 years. I was gonna be nice to you because I haven't had a visitor in a while." He said, "But you must have a death wish." And then he's like, "Okay, I'm sorry." He's like, "I didn't know you could hear my thoughts." And he's like, "I can't see or I can't speak, but the voice can hear his thoughts." So that's how they're communicating right now. Telepathy, pretty much. So the voice states, "I'll give you sight on one condition. you can't get scared of me when you're actually able to see me. And he's like, he pretty much like, oh, okay, cool, whatever, And the voice tells him to focus to unlock a skill called Magic Sense. This sounds straightforward. He used to be able to sense the magic around him, and for some odd, but it's weird to me. For some odd reason, this sense allows him to see. Like, he doesn't gain eyeballs or nothing, but he's just now able to see. And when he unlocks his skill pretty easy, but it's an isekai. This usually happens, I get reincarnated, I get crazy amounts of power and skills that normally normal people just don't get. So after he unlocks this skill, and it tells him, magic, and they call the voice, not the voice that tell him to focus, but the voice that was telling him he doesn't have, he has pain notification, says it's an extra skill. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, that seems like it would just be a normal skill, but extra skills are, I can't think of it right now, so we'll skip it. But after he gains his sight, he goes over back to the lake and he looks and he confirms, okay, yeah, I am a slime. And it doesn't freak him out. He's like, yeah, it's pretty much what I thought. And then the voice, like, the voice that told him to focus is like, did you forget our deal? And he's like, no. So he comes back and he looks up, and that's when we get introduced to the Storm Dragon. I'm going to butcher this name, and I'm probably going to butcher it if I keep reviewing this show, but bear with me. It's Verdora. It might be German, it might be Norse, I don't know, but we get introduced to the Storm Dragon Veldora. That's not how you say it, but that's what I'm rolling with. I don't care. And this is the one, and like I said, for the most part, Mikami has been pretty calm and docile about this whole situation until he sees, a towering dragon above him, which I don't blame him for freaking out about that, because I flipped out too. And, Veldora states that, I have been here I was sealed away over 300 years ago. I haven't had a visitor in a long time. And then they talk for a little bit, and he goes on the stage. He's like, are you unique? And Mikami's, I don't think he's confused, but I think he was just like perplexed. He's like, what do you mean by unique? He's like, because obviously Veldora states that most slime don't have the ability to think, but you are able to think and you have self-awareness. So, and then that's when Mikami states that, well, I was a human before. He said, but then I got stabbed and I died, and then when I woke up, I was a slime. So Veldora states, he's like, huh? He's like, so you were reincarnated. He's like, it's odd because, one, he doesn't hear of people reincarnating just through their soul alone. He's like, most people that come here are like summoned, and we call them otherworlders. And Mikami, he's like, huh? He said, so there are other people here from other worlds? And Veldora's like, yeah, pretty much. And he's like, some of you are called summons. He's like, what's a summon? He's like, a summon, in this world, in order to get a summon, it's usually done by 30 mages for like several days. And then once the summon is, once the cast is done, the summon then gets like a sigil imprinted on their soul, so that, they can obey, the summoner. You know how this goes. If I summon you, you belong to me, whatever. Some shows is like a collar, some shows is like a tattoo, and there is like a sigil or something placed on the summon's soul or whatever. But that's not that big of a deal to me. But Mikami inquires, like, I'm wondering why you were sealed away. And this is where it gets funny to me. This dragon is like, I'm so glad you asked. He looked like, and he turns and he looks like he's about to give an entire monologue. And he's like, before I was sealed, I might have burned a village by mistake. And Mikami's like, by mistake? But Veldora keeps going on, and he's like, I burned down a village somebody wanted to slay me. And he's like, and this is fun. This is not weird. No, it's kind of funny to me. He's like, he said, I will admit, the person that came to slay me, I did underestimate their power. But partway through the battle, I decided, to go full out with them. But the person that put him away was a summon, and they had a unique skill called I think it was like unwavering will or something no something it's a skill that pretty much like forces their will upon, I guess, other people. And don't take me verbatim, right? That I'm not sure. I just can't remember the name of that skill. And then they use another ultimate. That was their ultimate skill, like I guess their inherent skill. Then they use ultimate imprisonment, and that's what binds Veldora down now. That's why he's. I don't know if it put him in the underground or if that's just like after 300 years the ground collapsed and he fell into a cave. I don't know. But he's stuck there. He hasn't seen anyone for 300 years. He's just happy to see. He's just happy to see something. I can't say someone because Mikumi's a slime now. But, Mikumi's like, okay, that's cool. He's like, and then he starts, obviously he's like, so there must be, he's like, there are probably other Japanese people here. So he's like, I'm going to go find them. And then Pandora's like, wait, you're gonna I'm gonna put the scene up like right here or something. And he's like, oh, you're leaving so soon? And Mikumi's like, you know what? Why don't we be friends and I'll come back? And then Veldora like switches up. He turns into like a straight tsundere. And he's like, how dare a slime ask me, the mighty storm dragon, to be friends? And then he's like, and Mikumi's like, oh, I'm sorry, do you not want to be? And he's like, oh, wait, I'll think about it. And he's like, you are a tsundere, aren't you? No, actually, he's like, you know what? He's like, unless you become my friend, I'll never come back. And then he's like, okay, we're cool, we're friends. And, they fist bump, slime and dragon claw touch. And Mikumi's like, that's how he's like, and he just a recap, he's like, I died. He's like, I got stabbed and died. And I met a dragon. And I became a slime. He's like, and this is my life now. So, I mean, we didn't really get too much on there was some world building a little bit. But, hopefully we'll get more. I'm pretty sure I'm going to review this. From what I've seen, I like it. And, but this is one of the best parts to me. So, at the end, I think it's like even after the credits, we cut back to Tomura. And he does exactly what Mikumi told him. But except taking the hard drive, he takes like the entire computer and monitor. And they're still plugged up, mind you, somehow, because the monitor's still on. And he throws them into the bathtub, and then you get like, and then it sparks, and then it goes out. But there's like a little thing there saying, don't try this at home. And then he's like, and he's like, thank you. He's like, thank you for saving my life. And if I ever have a son, I will name him after you. And I'm like, you know what, Tomura, you got my respect. That's mad respect right there. You did what that dying man asked you to do. And I kind of hope we cut back to him like every now and then, like, and back in Tokyo, seeing what he's doing. And see, I want them to follow up on that. I don't know if there's a manga or a video game out for this show. I'm completely blind on this, but I hope later on he does have a son and he does name him Mikumi. That'd be dope. It'd make me so happy. But I mean, that's the rundown for this show. Nothing too much. It's interesting. The main thing that caught my eye was the fact that while he was dying, he was saying all these things that he felt, and it was pretty much like calculating, like, okay, I'll give him this skill, this skill, this skill, and then it gave him the unique skill of grand stage. So yeah, that's my take on it. Tell me what you think about it in the comments below and all that. Tell me, do you want to see me do more of this show? And tell me other shows that you're interested in. One show that I'm definitely going to be checking out when it drops is Goblin Slayer, but that's neither here nor there. But, with that being said, do all the other stuff that I tell you to do. Subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. Like I said, and on Twitch. But Twitch right now is weird with school and all that. But that's all I got to say. But it's your boy Fox, signing out.
先輩、安らかにお眠りください。子供が生まれて男の子だったら悟ってつけます。